Commissioner Godu, and myself, Kate Coyle. So I know I see a lot of people here. It is lovely to see community engagement because usually these commissioner meetings are not highly attended. In terms of the process, we're going to go through our whole agenda. Public comment comes at the end. What we'll do is just call individuals, the people up by rows. When you come up to the microphone right here so it can catch you on Zoom, and because we end up posting the meetings to YouTube, so if you want access. And we kindly ask that when you come up, you state your name, what town you live in, and you limit your comments to about 3 minutes. So with that, we will move right into RFP openings and awards. And first, we have an award for the generator repair.
Make a motion to approve bid waiver to Tri-State Generator in the amount of $33,360 plus shipping parts. Cost for parts is recommended by the Senior Director of Facilities Planning and IT.
Second.
Better? I like to be heard, so I'm glad somebody said that.
Second.
Discussion. This is a generator, a replacement generator in the Department of Corrections, and part of for a replacement transfer switch. On the motion, do you have anything else?
I did call the generator company today because I thought $33,000 for a radiator. At first, I thought I was seeing the wrong number, but this radiator is not made by Cummins anymore, so it's got to be custom built, and it's 800 pounds. So I thought, okay. So.
And the reason typically we do a bidding process for things over $10,000. We did not. We're doing a bid waiver here because it's an emergency situation where we need to get that generator and have the redundancy. And I know even when we do bid waivers, there's a lot of effort to price shop, and Facilities does an outstanding job. So, any other comment on the motion, Commissioner Tombrello?
Yes.
Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Moving into the consent agenda. First, we have the surplus equipment request pursuant to New Hampshire RSA 28(8)A.
I'll make a motion to approve a surplus equipment request pursuant to New Hampshire RSA 28:8-A and declare miscellaneous ex-bias system dispatch furniture surplus with the items to be picked up by the Department of Homeland Security.
Second.
Discussion. So obviously we have the new dispatch center here in this new building. And so with that, we were able to use grant money to get some new dispatch consoles and furniture. So the old furniture we don't need anymore. On the motion, Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
Commissioner Tombrello?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next, we have the payroll, January 30th, 2026.
Make a motion to approve the payroll expense in the amount of $1,705,546.38 for the period ending January 24th, 2026.
Second.
Any discussion? It seems obviously this is the third payroll, and so it's a little lower than what we're typically seeing because we don't have all of
the deductions.
The deductions, right? But it's fairly well aligned to what we're going to be seeing going forward. Anything else? On the motion, Commissioner Tombrello?
Yes.
Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Moving right into reports. Commissioners, do you have any reports this week?
Nope. I don't have anything right now.
I don't. Thank you.
Okay. We'll move right on to the finance office. And first up, I see we have some contingent grant off-cycle AP warrant approval.
I'll make a motion to approve a contingent grant off-cycle accounts payable warrant T260797 in the amount of $11,692.81 payable to Easter Seals.
Second.
Discussion.
Just read the warrant number. It's T260797. Minor D.
Okay, seconded as amended. Any discussion about that? I
I
guess.
wore my glasses too. Usually I don't wear my glasses and I do okay. Today I said, I'll wear my glasses and I made a mistake.
We have two off-cycle warrants, and these, were a continuing grant through a DHHS pilot program to delay institutional care and, we use some of these funds again, to help support our, adult medical day care programs. The timing of it is just because we're getting to the end of the end of the month, so we have to do reporting requirements, which is why we have to approve the warrant on an off-cycle basis. So we have two warrants to approve. First is this Easter Seals warrant, and then we have one for Silverthorne, which are two of the adult medical daycare facilities that residents in Rockingham County attend. So, any further discussion? On the motion, Commissioner Godu? Read the first one because you corrected the two.
Oh, yes, sorry. No further comments.
Okay. On the motion, Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
Commissioner Tombrello?
Yes,
And I vote yes. Commissioner Tombrello, could you read the second motion?
motion to approve a second contingent grant off-cycle accounts payable warrant number 260798 in the amount of $9,546.71 payable to Silverthorne.
Any discussion on that?
Chuck, did we get an invoice from Silverthorne? Did they send something to us?
Yes.
Okay, so I hadn't seen it yet, but it's the exact amount that we expected over the 6 months. Is this 2 months worth?
So for this is the billing through the grant, which is different than what's going to go through the portion of the budget funds from the county for
For
January 26th
Okay.
through June.
So have we received that bill? Because I know there was a question of whether we got the bill from them.
Long-term care would have received that bill and again, it'd be for January. They might have, because I think there was a payment last week. Okay.
Okay. I think we need to follow up with them because
Yeah.
she was unclear where to send it and I didn't offer clarity. So
Okay.
maybe I need to reach out to them.
Yeah, so this is for the final bill through the contingent grant with
Okay.
DHHS.
All right, that's good.
So,
So just for everyone in the audience, because it's like get your county education today. With respect to Silverthorne with this DHHS pilot program, we used a lot of monies with Silverthorne to fund transportation because one of the barriers we encountered for individuals accessing adult medical daycare is a limitation in transportation to and from the facility. So we were able to help support the residents and help support Silverthorne by putting monies towards this transportation program. The discussion that ensued was so we had this pilot program. It ended at the end of 2025. And what the commissioners voted to do was to continue. We also have support some of the adult medical day facilities by offsetting some of the costs for residents to attend. But we decided to use some of that money that we have in our budget to support these adult medical daycare facilities by continuing to fund some of the transportation for Silverthorne and so we're doing that out of our own budget for the second half of the fiscal year. But through December, this warrant is through the pilot program. And that's sort of the discussion in terms of Commissioner Godu asking about where the money's going. On the motion, Commissioner Tombrello?
Yes.
Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next were the TD Finance lease purchase agreement approvals.
I'll make a motion to approve a 3-year capital lease agreement dated January 29, 2026 with TD Equipment Finance, Inc. at an annual interest rate of 4.02% with annual payments in advance and authorize the chair to sign all necessary documents as recommended by the Senior Director of Finance.
Second.
Discussion? This is a lease agreement for the Sheriff's Department vehicles. On the motion, Commissioner Tombrello?
Yes.
Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next, we have a second motion, and this is with respect to facilities operations.
I'll make a motion to approve a 3-year capital lease dated January 29, 2026 with CD Equipment Finance Inc. at an annual rate of 4.02% with annual payments in advance, and authorize the chair to sign all necessary documents
Eh.
as recommended by.
Commissioner Tombrello, that was an error in preparing the
My job as
internal
the
agenda.
clerk is to read what it says.
It's true. And we are flying low today because our senior executive assistant is got to take a much deserved time off. And so I was responsible for preparing the agenda.
I had a birthday last week. They're trying to keep me going. That's what.
Yeah, exactly. So the interest rate, to add for clarification, the interest rate is 4.05, not 4.02. So my error. And so Commissioner Tombrello, you did read that motion on point.
Right.
As clarified, is there any other discussion on the motion? Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
Commissioner Tombrello?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next, human resources, we have a weather emergency, PPP 8-4 from January 25th through the 26th.
I'll make a motion to declare a weather emergency in accordance with personnel policies and procedures, chapter 8-4, Sunday, January 25th, 2026, beginning at 11 p.m. or at the start of the third shift as defined in the by the department through Monday, January 26th, 2026, on the start of the third shift as defined by the department as recommended by the Senior Director of Human Resources.
Second.
Discussion? There was a big snowstorm. Enough said. Hopefully everyone's done shoveling out. On the motion, Commissioner Tombrello?
Yes.
Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
And I vote yes. We're going to head right into department head updates, and I'll start on my left. Superintendent Henry.
Thank you. Currently in the house, we have 190 inmates in house. After report, we're going to have 2 corporal openings that we'll be posting soon and doing testing for those positions. Our field training officer program, we met yesterday, and we're doing a lot of work on it, but we were able to kick it off probably April 1st. We'll actually be posting and hiring 6 individuals to be our field training officers, 2 per shift, and we're very excited about that. Everybody on staff is. I think it will really benefit our officers and in their training. Today with me, I have the Assistant Superintendent, Major Banville, and he's here to talk a little bit about how hiring's going.
Good segue. Thank you. So as of February 9th, we're going to be at 53 officers. So we've got a rash of officers hired in the last couple of months, which is great, which is one of the reasons why we've realized the FTO program is so important. Up and running. So we have well-trained staff to take care of our inmate population.
Thank you, Major. Chuck, do you want to announce your role? Maybe it's helpful for department heads to announce your role as we go through, so for the audience.
Okay, Chuck Nickerson, Senior Director of Finance. I'm glad that the month following quarter end is almost done with, because every time the month following quarter, there's there's a whole lot of reporting for grants. There's quarterly reporting for payroll, whether it's 941 returns, what have you. So again, just very busy with that, but it's almost done, so I'm thankful. We did have a bit of a difficult payroll. There was a little bit of a UKG update that was run that kind of messed things up for a couple hours for us, but that got corrected. But overall, just very busy. We did have the grant writer and I had a meeting with Daniel Gray of the Rockingham Economic Development Corporation, and just trying to discuss areas and grant possibilities that we could team up with to help provide, enhanced services or maybe loan possibilities or what have you with like affordable housing projects in the county. So again, just busy as usual.
That's great. Chantel.
Chantel Jaconin. I'm the Senior Director of Long-Term Care Services. So our census in the nursing home is 143, and our census in assisted living is 46. I'm happy to say that over the last few weeks, with the support of the board, we were able to bring on additional beds to our skilled unit that had been closed for some time. and we actually only have 2 beds left and offers out on both of them. So that's been wonderful. It's brought about 8 extra beds available to the community. In regards to outbreak, we have 1 resident who has the flu, and we have 1 staff with flu and 1 staff with COVID. Since we're all in the room, flu is very high in New Hampshire, so just gonna throw that out there. A couple general items I had mentioned a while ago and gathered information. The Medicare 855A revalidation form was due with a January 1st deadline. We did collect all of the information and apply a week before they changed the deadline. However, we'd already applied and we just found out it was approved. So that was very exciting. Our assisted living is in the survey window. Budgeting is underway for us and very busy. And I'm going to just make a quick plug since there's so many people in the room. We hire for LNAs and have an LNA apprentice group program. So if anyone is interested in joining the healthcare field or knows someone that is, please reach out.
Go ahead. Thanks, Pat.
I'm Patricia Conway. I'm the county attorney here in Rockingham County. So things are great. We're, business as usual. We're very busy. We're trying aggravated felonious sexual assault case this week at the Superior Court. We are pretty much full staff except for 1 legal assistant position that we're looking for people to apply for that job. So same thing for everybody out there. We are looking for a legal assistant if you know anyone who's interested in working in a legal office. But other than that, things are going great.
Thank you. Allison.
Hi, I'm Allison Kibakowski. I'm the Senior Director of Human Resources. Shout out to facilities and their crew for the weather emergency. It was a big storm, one of the big ones that we've had so far in quite some time. And I want to just express our appreciation on behalf of all of the directors. Secondly, yeah, it's a good job. They're not here to hear it, but I just want them to know. Secondly, Deputy Abel was our first person to conduct our training orientation in the new gym that's located down the hall here. Very excited. He's bringing his deputies through that training, and we have a certified instructor coming on today at 3 o'clock and 4:15 to train some folks that have signed up. And we're excited because they're excited. So it just adds on to the benefits, another plus. They have 2 actual facilities that they can use. They can use the one over here and one over in the long-term care facility. And I appreciate the board's recognition of wellness initiatives and allowing me to utilize the funds that we get for wellness and also through Cigna, which is our insurance carrier. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. Jude.
Good afternoon. I am Jude Gates, the Senior Director of Facilities Planning and IT here at the complex. And as Commissioner Coyle pointed out, we had a lot of snow. So we've been very much focused on that for the last few days. We've also been somewhat challenged by the very, very cold temperatures. All of our residents and folks at the jail have been nice and warm, but we had some issues in one of our administration buildings. A piece of equipment was replaced and the heat valve didn't work. It was fixed today, so that's a bonus. We had 1 issue with freezing an inspector's test on the dry sprinkler system in the Carlisle building. It has been repaired, and that's about it. Other than that, all's well. We're busy as always. Thank you.
Thanks, Jude. Kathy.
Good afternoon. I'm Kathy Stacy. I'm the Register of Deeds for Rockingham County. We're pretty busy, and I'm happy to say that we did bring in 2 new employees this week, so we are at full staff finally, so pretty pleased about that. And I'm going to put a plug in too, but my plug is with regards to Property Fraud Alert. I offer a free service to anybody who owns property in Rockingham County that you can go on my website and sign up for. So if anything goes on record in my office under your name, you will be notified immediately within minutes. So if you are interested, come up to the 3rd floor and I have flyers and information for you to utilize that because it's a great service and it's free. Thank you.
See how much you can learn by coming to a county commissioner meeting. It's endless. Hiring, fraud alerts. Thank you, Kathy. All right, well, that wraps up. I don't see the sheriff's department. Are they on Zoom. Okay. So that wraps up our department head updates right
Nope.
now.
No reps from sheriff?
I don't see anyone. Okay. We'll move right into new business, old business. And first, we have a change order request for CNM cleaning.
Make a motion that we approve a general leave request.
We doing, okay, we'll start with the general leave request then.
General leave request form for initial JK period of January 1st, 2026 to January 26th, 2026.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none on the motion, Commissioner Godu,
Yes.
Commissioner Tombrello,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
One on the agenda.
Next, we'll move to other new business. We have a change order request for CNM cleaning.
I'll make a motion to approve a change order request for CNM cleaning for amount not to exceed $9,000 for a 20-day extension of cleaning services for the new building, covering from Monday, February 2nd, 2026 through Friday, February 27th, 2026.
Second.
Discussion. This is for cleaning services for this new building. We submitted an RFP and we do have a contract that is starting for March 1st, but the current cleaning providers have kindly agreed to extend coverage through the month of February so that we can get everything lined up. On the motion, Commissioner Tombrello,
Yes.
Commissioner Godu,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Any other new business, old business? I think it's worth talking, obviously I am in my 6th year as a county commissioner, and I can safely say that I have never seen so much community engagement at a county commissioner meeting. And it's really a great thing, right? Because we are elected officials and our job is to respond to our constituency. And obviously it's very clear that is what has drawn everybody here is the proposed ICE contract. And I think it's worth first, I'd like to just talk about the process that we're going to go through so everybody understands, and then we can and then I'm going to expand on it. So where we are, a few weeks ago, we got a contract proposal back from ICE to take detainees at the Rockingham County Jail. We are in the early stages of evaluating that, and I say somewhat early because we all, I think fair to say, have a lot of questions. And personally, I think I have a lot of concerns just in terms of the financial implications, the legal liabilities, the list goes on, and just a lot of questions, right? So our process is we are going to submit questions to the superintendent and then also questions that actually have to go to Homeland Security with respect to the contract. When we get those answers back, we'll probably have some discussion, and commissioners chime in if you think I'm misstating anything.
No.
And then once we have those answers to our questions and we have those, we've gone through, had some discussions, we're going to schedule a public hearing. And we'll have that, and it's going to be a specially scheduled public hearing on the contract. And at the conclusion of that contract, that's when we will vote on the contract. So that is the plan as it stands now. And we certainly encourage everybody to attend. This is a public forum, so come to the meetings, come to the public hearing. Where I stand right now is I am morally and ethically, on a personal level, I am opposed to what is taking place by ICE in our community. All that All that said is our role, my personal opinions of, you know, are not entirely relevant to whether to move forward with this contract, because our job, all of our jobs here, it's not a partisan decision. It's what's best for Rockingham County. And and when we look at that, what I've seen so far is I don't think that this contract is the best for Rockingham County. It's not the best for our employees who are going to, feel the brunt of this. It's not the best for our nursing home residents that are just up the street. And I don't think it makes fiscal sense. But we're still, we need data, right? We're lacking data. This is what I see right now. But ultimately, we will apply the data and do what we need to do and go through this process. And I can assure you that, and I think I can speak for all three commissioners, and like I said, correct me if I'm wrong, our job is to look at what is best for Rockingham County. And it's not a partisan issue. It is we are tasked with looking out what is the best for Rockingham County. And part of that is answering to our constituency. So that's where I stand. I don't know if you guys want to weigh in on anything else.
Sure, I'll weigh in. Commissioner Coyle and I don't agree on this particular case. And in general, I'm in favor of housing ICE detainees here at the jail. And I understand the opposition. And I would just like to make a point. We've been listening to public comment for 3 or 4 weeks, meetings, a few weeks of meetings in a row. And what concerns me is some misinformation that I think is going on. It might not be misinformation, but maybe it's just a perspective. What we've been asked, what we've been requested from ICE is after they have detained and decided that they're going to detain somebody, they're going to rent space from us. They're still there.
Pardon me. Pardon me. With all due respect, we are conducting our meeting. We kindly ask that we speak, and that at the point of public comment, you will have your turn to speak. And I don't mean to interrupt, but we need to conduct the order of business. And everyone was kind enough when I was speaking. I asked for the same respect for Commissioner Godu and Commissioner Tyler.
Thank you, Commissioner Coyle. I just want to put in perspective that the way I see our perspective is that these folks have already been detained, and they're going to go somewhere. They're going to go to some facility that's not as nice as our facility. They're going to go somewhere. If they come here, we know that they're going to be treated humanely. They're going to be fed properly. They're going to be, all the medical is going to be taken care of for them. And by experience here at the jail with the 190 that we have, inmates that we have right now, we don't get many complaints of mistreatment or unhappiness. I mean, no one's happy about staying at our hotel, but we don't get complaints. We're not getting sued. So that just tells me that if we got an extra 150 people that were coming in here, they're going to be treated like the same people that are in there right now. And I believe that they will be treated well. Now, the opposition that I've been listening to from all of you good folks on ICE has to do with their arrest operations. It has to do with how they're identifying and how they're detaining and all the behavior. And I've seen some behavior that I don't like as well. But that being set aside, that's not our position. And I understand that everybody wants us to, well, you folks want us to say no as a means of resistance. But Rockingham County currently cooperates with every law enforcement agency in the area. We cooperate with federal, state, and interstate law enforcement agencies. We work with them all the time. And the way I see this, this is no different than other cooperation that we have. The methods of arresting and such, I understand that that's at issue, but that's not an issue with us. That's somebody, go to DHHS or go to the Department of Justice. I'm not even sure who is in charge of their behavior, but it's not us. We are taking these folks that have been detained, and we're going to take care of them for, my understanding is an average of 78 days before they end up going to court and get their due process and understand whether or not they get deported or not. So, and we're just landlords and going to get paid for taking care of these folks. And I think that we'll take care of them better than some other facilities. I just wanted to understand where my position was. I'm sure Commissioner Tamarella will share some of his positions.
All right, well, I'm Commissioner Tombrello. I'm actually the old guy on the bunch. I'm older than them. And I'm actually entering my 12th year. And I can tell you as a county commissioner, this last few months is really, I stopped drinking 9 months ago. I'm almost ready to start drinking again. But I won't do it because I'm too strong. But this ICE thing has really been a burden on me. And obviously you folks have seen the paper, the swing vote. So I've done quite a bit of homework. I've gone to ICE facilities. I actually met with some people, great people from Deerfield yesterday. And I think I got 6 Democrats to vote for me. I met with them yesterday and they asked if they could meet me. I said, come on, come to my house. This is our house, all of you. And we met and we talked about the ICE thing. And, you know, I have a lot of questions that I'm going to hand to the superintendent that's going to go to ICE. And I asked the ICE people when I went to Plymouth and I met with them when this first came available for us to have the option to have it, you know, and if you look at the numbers, $6.7 million for 150 people, $3.3 million for 88 people. It looked pretty appetizing to me. It looked really appetizing. Then when I talked to the correction guys and I looked at what's happening now, I look at the newspaper and Saturday was my birthday and I was in Boston. I looked at the news and I saw them shooting that guy. I'm horrified. I'm an ex-sheriff. I would never do what they did. That's just ridiculous what they did. But that's the president's problem, not mine. But right now we have a community corrections facility out back that we spent. The finance director and I talked about $12 million to build the building out back, where we're going to have community corrections where the guys will come from the jail and females will come from the jail and go out back and transition into reality and get back into life. I think that should be a goal that we should do instead of taking somebody else's headaches. Yeah. So I met with the newspaper young gentleman right there, nice kid there. Actually, I got him. He calls me when I'm shoveling. I call him when he's shoveling. So, and he said to me, Tom, what if it was the vote today? Can I say that you're a no? I said, well, I got to do my process. I got to let the other. I would love today for us to vote and this thing to be done. You guys come back next week just to have a party, But unfortunately, what has to happen is I wasn't here. I was in Italy, I believe, and the other 2 commissioners decided that they would have a public hearing. I was like, I didn't really want one, but it's okay. I think we've been having one for the last 6 weeks. This is a big crowd, but it's pretty good for you guys to see the new building that we're so proud of building. But there's a lot. And you know, when I met with the 6 people yesterday, 6 Democrats, I said to them, my wife having known I was in a room with 6 girls, I'd be dead. But Maureen Quinn and the other folks that I met with, one of them was a nurse, and they're nice people. And they're in my district. And they said, Tom, can we meet? I said, of course. And I said, don't get fresh or get ugly or anything like that. It was the nicest 2 hours we spent out there in the fishbowl. And we beat up ICE and we beat it up and we kept talking about it. So I can tell you right now that nobody has done as much work as I have done on ICE. And there's been people that have tossed around the thing saying to me that, Tom, if you don't vote for ICE, you'll get knocked out of office. Well, guess what? I'm okay. I'm going to do what my heart says to do. If it was a vote today, And the young reporter had said to me, Tom, if the vote was today, would you vote no? I said, I can't tell you that. I can't tell you that, but I'll be glad when it's over. And I think you folks will be glad when I vote.
And I mean, I do think it's worth mentioning some of the other things we have to do in evaluating this is, the contract requires partnerships with Exeter Hospital. It requires MOUs with our correctional officers, and it's, there are other, in order to even move forward to a public hearing, we have to ensure all those elements are lined up, that we can get sufficient translators, all the things that before we even get to that vote, that we have that compliance element. So we will again we're submitting our questions, and then evaluating those other partnerships that are required per the contract.
And the only other thing that I just add for clarity, we're not going to be voting on this contract for a month, maybe 2 months. So when you're sharing with your friends about coming here, you're welcome to be here, and I appreciate the decorum that you have all expressed, and the respectful protest, which I support 100%. But just so that you know, we're not even close to signing a contract. We've got at least a month or two worth of investigation before that happens, and you will get notified, so it won't be a surprise.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I would just say that, since we've been doing this for at least 6 weeks, we started out with a couple, and then we had one time I came in, they had a band. I said, wow, this is pretty cool. I got a band. But getting back to the part of the people to make the motion, I would love to be able to get this over with, but we have to have the other party. And although I don't know, maybe I'm going to be surprised today, because for the last 6 weeks, nobody has come up and said we want ice. So maybe one of you will surprise me, but I got to look at this crowd, and I don't think one of you are here. Nobody has come in front of us and said that they wanted ice. Maybe a couple, that's okay. I've been outnumbered before too. You come up too. You have the right to come up and speak for or against it. And unfortunately, nobody has done that. You're for it too? Okay. No, I'm not calling you up now. I'm not. She's the chairman. I'm just saying my part. But I just think that it's fair for them to be able to come here and talk about it. There's a lot of Republicans that want it, a lot of state reps that want it. So we're going to dodge that bullet when we have to dodge it. But that's all. Thank you.
Okay. So with that, is there any other new business or old business to discuss?
No.
Okay. And so now we're time to move into public comment. So what I'm would kindly ask is, for those who, we're just going to go row by row, and if you can again line up by the microphone. I think for this front row, perhaps like maybe we can turn this microphone or something. So, or you guys can go around. Is there anyone in the front row who would like to speak? Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go around so that you can get right to the microphone, please. And just because I know you've spoken before, if you would take your mask off, it would be easier for me
My
to
mother is-
understand what you have to say.
My mother is immunocompromised, so I cannot, but thank you.
All right.
Morning or afternoon, I guess. Sorry I'm late. I'm Klein Dickens from Northampton, New Hampshire. I just want to note that the last time I was here, Commissioner Gaudieu, when his own constituent from Derry was speaking to him, he was on his phone and laughing, which I think we can all agree is not a good look. You know what else is a bad look? Right now, 46% of the country believe in the full abolition of ICE. Not reform, not little ticky-tack things around the edges, but actual complete and total abolition. So when you look at this crowd, we're just a tiny, tiny little sliver of a full country and worldwide coalition that wants this shit to end. Okay? Second,
Thanks.
I just want to talk about what happened in Minneapolis. We had multiple people die. We had children taken from their families. We had families taken from their children. And both of you, for about a year, have wanted this to continue here. I will remind you, there was a general strike that was organized within 3 weeks. If you bring ICE here, they will have a single point that everyone can rally around. The Rockingham County Jail, right now we have a 287G agreement between the sheriff's department and ICE. They're sort of a decentralized, moving around places, taking people. But if you bring it to the jail, there will be one spot where everyone here shows up and says, fuck this shit. We don't want it. We don't want it here. There is a point of convergence where everyone in this room and all of their towns and communities can rally and say, fuck this shit. We don't want it here. ICE out. General strike, coalition. Okay. I'll end the vulgarity. All that is to say, you too have spent the last year aligning yourselves with a coalition that is breaking, a coalition that will not win, that is now up against multiple world leaders, that is now up against many state governments across the country, that is up against most people in this room. And I just want to remind you that you guys have elections coming up, and it's a losing issue. Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the first row? Okay, second row, would you guys just line up kindly, line up for, come up and speak. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Joanne Foster. I'm from Portsmouth, and I want to say it's my second week here, and I've been to a lot of public meetings, and I will say this is, I've been informed so much, and it's a little bit fun. You're sort of, and I appreciate the thoughtful and deliberative way you were approaching this ICE contract. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak. I want to talk specifically about my concern and urge you not to enter into a contract with ICE. And it's because of mission, values, and reputation. They don't match. There's an incongruence between the mission of Rockingham County and ICE. You know, here your mission is to safely and equitably incarcerate individuals that have been through the criminal justice system and afforded due process. That's not what ICE is about. They are detaining people without criminal records. Right now, they are proudly saying that they are detaining people without judicial warrants. That doesn't match who you are and who we want to be here. Your mission is to rehabilitate incarcerated folks and work to get them back into their community and their society. That's not what ICE is about. They are about mass deportation of undocumented immigrants, many of who have been here for years and contributing to our society. And they're deporting them in some cases to places where they fled violence and persecution, or other times to places that they are unfamiliar with because they came here when they were kids. Your reputation is at risk because ICE and this administration lies. Even the Wall Street Journal editorial board, not a bastion of liberal thought, said very kindly, the rhetoric does not match the facts. What they really wanted to say is ICE is lying. They showed statistics from the Cato Institute that since October, 73% of ICE detainees have no criminal record. You can't enter into a contract with the department that lies. As this very eloquent young woman talked, you are already going to be the center of protest. But you enter into a contract with a lying administration, you're not going to get vendors to supply you. They're going to protest you because they have reputations to adhere to. So I don't want to take up a lot of time. I appreciate your, thank you.
Hi, I'm the Reverend Ellen Quadgrass. I'm the minister at South Church in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, but I'm speaking for myself today. Thank you, Klein. Thank you, Joanne, for your comments. I had written a few things down. I heard what you were saying about your constraints and your commitment to your constituents, that is how you need to make this decision. So I want to speak to some of the practical realities, including budget pressures, staffing realities, and competing responsibilities. You are public servants charged with making decisions that will seriously affect everyone who's involved. I'm asking you to approach an ICE detention contract with particular rigor because immigration detention is not a simple add-on. It changes the day-to-day character of a facility, as Joanne said, and introduces operational, legal, and human complexities that are not always apparent at the outset. When a county holds people for ICE, it takes on practical demands that often do not appear clearly in initial financial projections. Language access and interpretation, coordination with federal transport and scheduling, legal access and attorney visits, classification and housing complexity, higher medical and mental health needs. People are held under a civil process, often with no clear timeline for release or transfer. And that uncertainty affects stress levels or behavior and the demands placed on staff. Even if the county's role is described as housing, the daily responsibility rests with county employees. I question how these factors taken together affect that fiscal picture you named a moment ago over time, whether they may erode what appears upfront to be a significant financial gain. Second consideration is due process. Immigration detention is civil, not criminal, yet the lived experience is punitive. Separation from family, language barriers, limited access to counsel, and prolonged uncertainty for those detained. Regardless of one's views on immigration policy, a county that becomes an ICE detention facility assumes responsibility for how those, the county that becomes an ICE detention facility assumes responsibility for how those safeguards function in practice, not just on paper. Third, there is community and reputational factors to weigh. As Joanne said, in the current political climate, an ICE contract will be experienced by many residents as a significant public action, regardless of how you try to frame it. That can bring sustained public attention and protest and strain on county systems while also shaping long-term public trust in county institutions. And fourth, there are cautionary examples worth learning from. In Bristol County, Massachusetts, immigration detention became a prolonged controversy. The ICE contract ended, but legal exposure continued $800,000 later. In Los Angeles County, there was a major settlement related to ICE holds in the range of $14 million. These are not perfect comparisons, but they illustrate how detention agreements can create consequences that outlast the contract itself, legally, operationally, and reputationally. Finally, whatever decision you make, I hope it is one you feel you can stand behind, not only as a matter of process and policy, but as a matter of conscience. The county will live with the consequences. The real human beings will live with the experience. My hope is that you can look back and feel not only that you have made a defensible decision, but that you met a morally weighty moment with clarity, humility, and care. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Robin Schnell. This will be really brief. I looked at the contract yesterday and saw that Prime Care is the healthcare provider. If you go to Prime Care's website, they look great. They have a glowing review of themselves. But if you look at the facts of the matter, they have a terrible record. 32 people have died in the past year under their care, and I would hate to have that happen here. I'm also concerned. I don't understand what the mental health piece of that is people brought in by ICE have a higher percentage of mental health issues. And I know that prisons can take, if they have a shortage of COs, they can take healthcare professionals to use. I don't know if that's true in this facility as well, but it's something that I would hope you would look at. Thank you.
Hi there. My name is Emily Carrington Heath. I'm a resident of Exeter and I pastor in Exeter, although I'm speaking for myself. They told us when we were thinking about talking today that we shouldn't talk about the moral issues here, that we should keep it practical. But I think they were underestimating it because I think the moral matters. And I think moral courage matters. 250 years ago, my family here in Rockingham County was joining causes with others here to be on the side of independence in Chester and Brentwood. And I grew up being told that these were people of moral courage, willing to do something hard in a time when they needed people to do hard, morally courageous things. We're in a place where churches that never agree with each other, Catholic dioceses, progressive Protestant denominations across the board, we don't agree on anything. We don't agree on marriage, divorce, reproductive health. We agree on this. And when churches come across lines and we're all in agreement, it's probably worth listening to because there might be something there. But if you don't want to hear the moral argument, I'll tell you about my dad. My dad spent his whole life defending this country and then working for a government agency that kept our country safe. So did my granddad, so did many others in my family. And he used to say to me, it's great to be morally good, but you also need to be street smart. So I'll tell you what he told me to do when I bought a car. He told me, don't go to a car and they'll say they'll fix everything after you buy it. And I hear a lot of y'all saying, well, we can make it better. We can make ICE work better here. That's how you lose your power. You don't make the purchase until things are fixed. Otherwise, you're going to buy a lemon. You have no power to negotiate. And you sure don't take that car that is a hazard, that car that is acting in ways that put others at danger, and bring it to your town. Not even as someone who's like letting your friend put it in your garage and paying you rent for it, because that makes you complicit. You say, I am not going to be a part of this. You say, go and do this right. Go and fix it, and I'm not going to buy this until you do that. You are in a place where you have such leverage in a time, a moral moment in this country. If you stand up, if you do the right thing now, if you find the kind of courage people found 250 years ago and have found every time in our country we've been in a hard situation since, you're going to be people who can look at yourself in the mirror and you're going to look at your constituents in the mirror. Now is the time for moral courage. Don't get suckered into buying a lemon. Hold out and insist that this country does better because we all deserve it. Y'all do. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon. My name is Carly Barriant, and I'm speaking today in my personal capacity, but I also serve as the vice chair of the select board in Hampton, and I'm a candidate for Congress. In addition to echoing what's already been said here, I want to ask you to please not sign an agreement with Immigration and Customs Enforcement to house people they have detained in our county jail. Let's reflect for just a moment on what's been going on in our country. Last week, 75 miles from here, ICE agents detained a Cumberland County Corrections recruit. They literally yanked him out of his car and left it running in the street. Cumberland County Sheriff Kevin Joyce called what ICE is doing Bush League policing, and he said that it was completely different from what they had been promised. We were told that immigration authorities would only arrest and deport convicted criminals. Instead, they are literally killing people. They lied to us. As the Portland Press Herald reported last weekend in November, Cumberland County commissioners voted against a proposal to remove ICE detainees from the jail despite months of calls from protesters to end the contract. At the time, Commissioner said that the contract was a crucial source of funding. But county officials confirmed on Friday that in the past few months, the federal government hasn't been paying them. Let me say that again. The federal government hasn't been paying them. Beyond the fact that what is happening with ICE right now is morally reprehensible, which should be reason enough to make you pause and ask if you really want to enter into a partnership with ICE at this particular moment. If we enter into a partnership with ICE, we risk unpredictable, unfunded expenses at a time when we cannot just keep raising people's property taxes. If Cumberland County hasn't been getting paid, what makes you think that Rockingham County will? Thank you.
Good afternoon. Happy to be back. I continue to be impressed with the way Rockingham County is run. And my admiration for you all grows each time I attend a meeting. So I come before you today not as a state rep, but as a citizen and a person of deep faith in a moment of moral clarity. New Hampshire is not immune from the public outcry in our nation against the break from our Constitution, where masked armed men are inflicting terror on our streets. And even local police are being harassed by ICE officials. I believe we have a civic as well as a moral duty to care about our neighbors. Nobody likes a preacher, but I'm going to preach. The ancient scriptures teach us that our neighbors, as in the story of the Good Samaritan, found in the Gospel of Luke, teaches us that anyone in need is our neighbor. The Hebrew Bible in Leviticus teaches us to love our neighbor as ourselves. We must not look away. Brentwood, New Hampshire is not Minneapolis. However, ICE has taken family members from our community and my town, which has caused fear and unrest in the state of New Hampshire, in the county of Rockingham. You have a critical decision to make. As our friend Kevin Fleming has said, why would we want to inflict this stain on our county by inviting ICE here? I recently heard a professor in response to the question, why didn't good, decent Germans do more in response to the lawless carnage unfolding around them? Her answer was prescient. More people would have done more if they only knew what to do. This is our moment to do more. This is our never again moment. Say no to this contract. Your neighbors are counting on you. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to echo what Linda just said. Thank you so much. What a beautiful group of people. Thank you for all your hard work. My name is Karishma Manzoor. I'm from Exeter. I'm also a candidate for the US Senate, but I'm here as a private citizen, and I want to make just a few points. One is we can have both a secure border and a fair, humane immigration system. That is absolutely possible. What ICE is doing right now, those images, sir, that you mentioned, the kidnapping, the detention, the mistreatment that we are finding out about, they actually constitute crimes against humanity. We are violating international humanitarian laws in this country at the moment. And this is something we really should pay attention to, because history is going to judge us one day, or we will be judged. One other thing I do want to say, ICE must be abolished. Absolutely. There is no reforming it. It is a lemon. It is a violent lemon. It cannot be corrected or reformed. It has to be abolished. But enforcement, immigration enforcement can be put under the Department of Justice the way it was before 2003. There is no reason for DHS, ICE, and CBP to inflict so much violence and terror on our communities. And Linda, I echo you. 1930s Germany does come to our mind. Fascism comes to our mind. And to add on, the reason those violence was perpetrated or was on the people, the Romas, the Polish, the Jewish people, and others in Europe, was because of the perpetrators, the enablers, the bystanders, and the resistors. Those are 4 terms that have come out of the Holocaust studies. Perpetrators would be people like Hitler, Goering. Enablers were those business folks or the priests and the church folks who actually supported the perpetrators. The bystanders were those who knew what was going on but decided to look away. And the resistors were the folks who liberated those concentration camps. Those resistors were Americans. Those were the first anti-fascists. People died, Americans died on European soil to fight fascism. How are we now, 80 years later, allowing fascism to flourish in this country? I believe all of you are honorable human beings. It doesn't matter whether you're Republicans or Democrats. We have to judge this moment for what it is. This is full-blown fascism. The other thing I wanted to say, please do not follow a madman. This madman is destroying our country. He is lawless, and he is destroying our country. And he's distracting us from the fact that he made $4 billion personal wealth last year. And he's trying to distract us from the fact that the Epstein files are still not available publicly. So if you're looking for someone that is breaking the law, he's in the White House, not on the streets of Rockingham County. Thank you.
Is there anyone else from row 2 or row 3, I should say? Anyone else like to speak? Come on up.
Hi, I'm Eileen Flockhart. I live in Exeter. Coming here, seeing this new facility does sort of blow you away, doesn't it? And the people sitting at this desk, and certainly the folks behind you, are people with a lot of heart. This is the 2nd largest county in our state, and we have a lot of pride in what's happened here and how responsive. The first time I called Kate, thinking, oh, I'll see if I can get a hold of her. And I said, is there any way I could talk to Kate Coyle? And she said, oh, that's me. So we're talking responsive people who care. And I look at the vision of what's green and growing and what's good in the state of New Hampshire, in this county, in our towns, and the number of people here who truly are worried and scared. And we know that when we stand up, we can make a difference. And there are days when I think if I go stand on a bridge, is it doing any good? We're going to keep standing on bridges and we're going to do what's right. And I just hope that when you look at the decisions you have to make, and they're not easy. You folks are between a rock and a hard place too, and lots of us are. But think of your decisions and put a face on it, whether it's a face of a mother or a child or anybody in this room that's worried and crying at night, thinking about what might happen. Put those faces on your heart and think about how we come to this decision, and know that when you say, that's not what we do here, we will be behind you. We'll do whatever you need to show support. Thank you very much for everything you do.
Good afternoon. My name is Effie Malley, and I'm from Portsmouth. Thank you for the opportunity to register my opposition to Rockingham County's housing people detained by Immigration and Customs Enforcement. My opposition is based on 4 points. 1, the legal exposure for the county if people are illegally detained. 2, limitations of the capacity of the jail facility. The county should receive priority. 3, uncertainty of contract payments by the federal government. And 4, potential burden of emergency services and regional infrastructure. Thank you for consideration of my points.
Hello, I'm the Reverend Christina Willie McKnight, and I live in Portsmouth, and I am here as a citizen. I really love living in Portsmouth. I've been there for 4 years. I was born and raised in South Minneapolis, which I got back here from last night after being there for a week. I went there at the request of the clergy call, and I stayed with my mother, who still lives in South Minneapolis. I know a great deal about the city where I was born and raised. And the city where I have been for the last week looks nothing like the city where I was born and raised. It looks nothing like the city where I visited my mother in November. My mother is going to the bus stop every day at 3:10 to make sure that the high school juniors don't get yanked out of the streets with peanut butter cookies, my 76-year-old mother, to protect these teenagers. If you think there's not reason for that, I invite you to get on a plane and go to Minneapolis. To say this is a moral moment, is an understatement. I beg you to go to the city where I was raised. Go to Eat Street, where there's wonderful places to eat, just like at Market Square, where a man was killed last week while I was having breakfast. This is a country that is killing its people right now. And you all have a choice if you want to condone that, to put the name of the city where I live now, where my children go to school. I won't continue, but I will give any of you my name and phone number and tell you more about what is happening in the city where I was raised, and I will talk to you as long as you will listen, because this is in your hands.
Hi, my name is Eric Turr, state representative for Brentwood and resident of Brentwood. Speaking, I guess, both on behalf of as a resident and as the state representative for the community. Also serve on the county's delegation as the part of the executive committee. I want to start off saying thank you for the time to listen to all the comments, and thank you for the way this county has been run. I'm very proud of the way Rockingham County operates, and I'm very proud that we are the county seat here in Brentwood. We've had a long, positive relationship. So my comments will not address the moral political context in which the agreement's being considered. I will say I support much of what's been said, and I hope that those considerations will be key, if not overriding considerations in your deliberations over this contract. But I want to speak to you basically. I also appreciate you releasing the draft of the contract so we could all see the language. I've read it carefully. And I would say it's what's not in that contract that concerns me much more than what is in that contract. I want to push back briefly on the idea that this is a rental agreement. It is absolutely not a rental agreement. It is, and I come from 35 years of policy consulting in healthcare. This would be considered a essentially almost full risk per diem capitation contract. I'm sorry. I would consider this to be essentially a full risk per diem capitation contract for services. What that means is that there should be an upside and downside. I see limited upside, very significant downside. For about the daily rate of the Hampton Inn, the county will be asked to house, feed, secure, provide routine medical care, transportation, translation services, a whole range of supports, and the county is responsible for providing all the staff and all the facilities for that, for the price of a night at the Hampton Inn, which comes with breakfast. So the payment is based on ICE review. You have to maintain minimum standards. They have the right to not pay if they have any concerns. And as others have said, their history recently has not been good. So I won't go through all the provisions of the contract, but I'd be happy to sit down with any of you to go over what I see. The other thing I wanted to speak to is the concerns for my town. So as a resident and representative of Brentwood, I again say long positive relationship with the county here. But in this agreement, we will be taking facilities built for our county and inviting people to come from anywhere in the country into this community. We have no review over who comes into our county. It's been said, I don't know whether I fully believe, but you know, these services or these enforcements are targeting the worst of the worst. So theoretically, maybe not all, but the worst of the worst would be brought into a county jail, what amounts to a county jail. There's no provisions in the contract for upgrading security. There's no provisions for outside security, which makes me believe that, you know, our local law enforcement might be called upon to manage any sort of, you know, protest or other things that might take place around here. The release of these prisoners is to ICE. So when someone is discharged from this facility, ICE determines what happens to them after that. The county will have no say, and it's already a difficult thing for how prisoners are released from the county jail. I can't imagine what might happen in this agreement. And last, I'll say I worry for the reputation of our community. This is not something our county needs financially, and it's not something our county needs socially. So again, please respect the relationship, the long relationship that the county has had with us as the county seat in Brentwood, and think about all these things as you review the contract. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Diane Quellifrath. I am a constituent, resident of Raymond, New Hampshire. I am here representing our Indivisible group. So I am the lead organizer for Rockingham County Indivisible, which is about 1,800 people strong right now and growing every day. I can tell you that the over 100% support from those 1,800 people is they don't want any ICE detention in New Hampshire. They don't want any ICE, any of our law enforcement agencies cooperating and working with ICE. We are completely opposed to ICE in New Hampshire at any level. So I'm expressing that 1,800 people are opposed to 1,800 New Hampshire residents are opposed to ICE activity here in New Hampshire. But I have a couple of questions about the contract. So I am curious to know what onus is on the Rockingham County Commissioner's office to accept this contract? Are you free to make a decision either way, or is there an onus that you have to find a reason to reject it? So that's one question I have for you. My second question is, what does the impact of the voice of the community, how does that weigh into the decision that will be made, and if that's relevant? So there are times when we might show up as constituents or citizens, residents, to voice opposition or favor, and however those things are treated pretty lightly. They're not taken as a very weighty consideration into the decision-making process. So that's question number two, the input from community and how much weight that carries in the decision-making process. My third point is that, as somebody else had mentioned, this is a Rockingham County facility. And I think that as a Rockingham County facility, it should serve only the purposes of Rockingham County. I wouldn't be in favor of taking arrestees from Methuen, Massachusetts, or any other, maybe counties within New Hampshire, but certainly nothing out of state. And so I think that there is a problem with opening our doors and our facilities for people who are not committing crimes here in our community and imprisoning them. I think that those facilities should serve only our New Hampshire communities and our counties. And there was one point I wanted to make on that. Yeah, and that is that while we are talking about maybe perhaps incarcerating even more people who might have been arrested and not been afforded their right to due process, as we are seeing time and time again. These are are they talking 90 somewhat % of these people are not violent criminals. So we're bringing, again, somebody talked about liability. We're bringing in people who might not have had their constitutional rights protected, and that we should, as a community, be working on less incarceration, not more. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Wolf. I'm from Portsmouth, and I decided to pick out one thing. And among ICE's many crimes, one thing that they are not doing is they have not paid any of their medical contractors. So this means that providers aren't getting paid for when they do provide care, and is leading to them no longer providing care. And so, you need to consider if the county is willing to work with an agency that is denying medical care to their detainees. So we talk about well, we're only holding the detainees, we're not involved in the arrest. One, you can't actually morally separate those things. If you agree to this contract, you're condoning the behavior of the agency that is detaining the people in the first place. But also, if people are not getting medical care provided to them in detention, now the county will be responsible for that. And are you prepared to take that on? So I would like to echo what everyone else has said, and thank you.
Hello, my name is Hazel Brady Sturgewald Spires, and I'm a young attorney living in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Please excuse me, I wrote some notes that were in response to two of the comments that Commissioner Gadu made earlier today. This is not just a tenancy question. A contract with ICE will dirty the hands of Rockingham County and open it to additional legal liability. You mentioned that these people have already been detained, but the question is in the legality of the process and continuation of their detainment. We know that people have been illegally transferred out of Vermont and subsequently through Pease when there were judicial orders for them to not be moved. Immigration enforcement is only legally authorized to conduct paperwork for civil violations and then deportations. Illegal immigration at its most extreme is not a criminal offense, but rather just a civil offense. Civil offenses are remedied with paperwork and fines, not detention. And Rockingham County Jail is not approved to hold people who have not committed a crime in the state of New Hampshire. These are examples of the many ways that ICE has been acting outside of their legal rights. Signing a contract with ICE will open the county up to significant federal and state legal liability. It's worth noting also that the New Hampshire State Constitution provides broader due process protections than the federal Constitution does. Additionally, saying that we will treat them best isn't a statement on how humane our incarceration system is. It would be a stamp of approval from us on the actions of ICE, despite the legality of detaining these people. For those reasons, I would highly suggest not taking a contract with ICE. Thank you.
My name's Frank Arsenault, and I'm from Seabrook, New Hampshire, and I'm here to tell you, you don't have to make a decision that you might regret down the road. It's easy to say what's before you, what you saw on TV. No good's going to come out of this. But why go and open yourselves up, your beautiful facility that you're proud of, in the community that you say that you cherish and enjoy? Why bring it to our doorsteps? That's all I'm going to say. Think twice. You can walk away from this. You'll be heroes and it will fade. You go along with this, it will be around your neck for a long time because you don't know what is going to open up. All these other cities and towns that has these facilities, they went in with the same game plan that you did. Look at the paperwork, let's do some research and make the best decision for their community. Now look at them on the news. All right, thank you.
Next row.
My name is Corinne Dodge, and I live in Derry. And I want to first thank you for listening to the concerns of the people in Rockingham County. There is absolutely nothing I can say that you haven't already heard. And these people have spoken so much more eloquently than I. I'm not going to read this. I'm just going to ask you, please do not sign that contract. Thank you.
I'm Tina McCoy, I live in Windham. Thanks for the opportunity to speak out. ICE detainees are taken by unidentified masked agents. They're armed against the public and they have minimal training or supervision. What's important to me as well is that the detainees are not afforded due process as required by the Constitution of the United States of America and New Hampshire. I implore you, do not, Please do not conflate the New Hampshire's criminal justice system with the gross civil rights violations that are taking place in our region and across this country. New Hampshire believes in freedom. We believe in justice, equal protection, equal treatment under the law, and every individual's right to due process. We need officials like you to look at this and do the right thing and be brave. Do not make Rockingham County and the state of New Hampshire complicit in the civil rights violations that are being perpetrated by ICE in New England and across our country. Your website claims that you're dedicated to the residents of Rockingham County. You represent us, and you're entrusted to allocate resources with care, which we appreciate very much. To allow the use of Rockingham County resources to detain any person without due process would betray the trust of your constituents. Such a decision would constitute a misuse of funds from my perspective. It would be unethical, and it would not be in accord with our state constitution or the constitution of our country. The New Hampshire State Constitution in Article 2 states that equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by this state on account of race, creed, color, sex, or national origin. Do not bring this problem to our doorstep. Do not be complicit in civil rights violations. I implore you. Do not allow ICE detainees to be housed in Rockingham County Jail or in any other facility under your jurisdictions, because we, the residents of Rockingham County, are counting on you. Thank you very much.
My name is Glenn Preston. I live in Lee. For the last 22 years, I have been a farmer. For the last 22 years, I have been a farmer. I have worked from Virginia up. I have worked with immigrants. I have lived next to immigrants. Well, you lift that up.
Might just, yeah.
This is not my natural place. All right. Again, my name is Glenn Preston. I'm a farmer from Lee. I have farmed from Virginia up all through New England. I have worked with immigrants. I have lived with immigrants. I was in Portland when the Sunnis and the Somali population was moved there. I lived on Grant Street. It was the worst street in the state of Maine. Gas station down the street from me was the most robbed street in the state of Maine. When they moved those people in, the street got better. When I woke up in the morning prior to them, and I have nothing against these people, I understand that it's an addiction and it's a disease. When I got up at 5:30 in the morning to go to work, my neighbors dragged themselves home high as hell. There was prostitutes, and then these people moved in. The difference was, when I got up at 5:30 in the morning to go to work, after they moved in, all my neighbors were too. There were children playing in the street. 2 years I lived there. I had never seen that. So to you, I'm glad you're law enforcement. You do a respectful job. You're a good human being, I can tell. Can you trust an organization that gets it wrong 73% of the time? Think of your own training. Think of your own experience. What was your arrest record? You don't have to tell me. I know it was better than that. Record was perfect.
I just wanted to tell you.
Okay, well, I believe you. How can we trust this organization to house people in our backyard who 73% are hardworking, decent people? From personal experience, I have the same soil on my hands that they have. This is wrong. We all know this is wrong. This organization, I will not call them lost work because they're not. 47 days of training. They said they will detain people for 78 days. They'll be detained 30 days longer than the officer the people that put them there are trained. How can we trust that? I'm not going to go on forever. I think I've made my point, but like, throw this contract in the trash. It's blood money. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Brianna Martin. I'm from Portsmouth. I'm an educator, but here speaking for myself. I mentioned that I'm an educator because it's hard for me to leave my students to be here, but at the same time, right now, with the presence of ICE in our community, I fear for their safety. And so I feel I need to be here. I grew up in Rockingham County, exercising my right to freedom of speech. Thinking about the constitutional framers, the reason that freedom of speech is the First Amendment to the Constitution is because they valued it so highly. I would love to say that I can raise my children in Rockingham County also exercising their freedom of speech and their ability to stand up when they see something that is wrong. Now, I don't feel I can bring them with me to events because of what has been happening. Now, when my 11-year-old hears that I'm going to a protest, he says, "Mom, are you going to get shot while you're there?" Every moment in time will be a moment in history. At this moment in time, maybe more than any other before or after, you have the opportunity to define your legacies as county commissioners. I encourage you to take this moment to think deeply about which side of history you'd like to be on. Think about your knowledge of detention camps throughout history, the images that come to your mind. Think of the way that history books tell the stories of those who championed, built, and ran these camps. Is that how you want your names to be remembered? As those who, like this cohort, brought detention facilities to your community? Or would you rather be known as ones who, in spite of pressure from a federal administration that has chosen racism, violence, and segregation over the values of the Constitution, stood up for the spirit of this community and refused to allow this to happen? Rockingham County says no to an ICE detention facility in our home. We will gladly welcome the immigrants, but we have plenty of ICE from nature and don't need one bit more. And I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name, but the gentleman in the middle. Mr. Gadu, when I hear you say, at least here, the detention camps would be better, there is no palatable detention camp for people who are being seized from the streets without due process. Thank you for holding this hearing and giving us the opportunity to speak. My name is Monica Greenleaf, and I've lived in Rockingham County for 40 years. And I came with a prepared speech, but as I sit here, I think, first of all, everybody's spoken very eloquently. And second, there's just two big things that keep coming to my mind. One is that my father was an immigrant. My father was an immigrant when there was no ICE. He went to school, he worked hard, he was able to have the American dream. many immigrants for the last 20, 40, 50, however many years have been doing the same. And now people who've been here 20 years are being pulled out of their homes and put in detention centers. I can't help but think, what if that was my dad? First of all, it's terrible. Second of all, because he contributed so much to this country, as do these current immigrants. The second thing I can't help but thinking the whole time I'm here is, what would you do when ICE comes and says, here, you need to detain this 5-year-old? What do you do? Thank you.
I'm Jerry Gata from Portsmouth. I'd just like to say I appreciate hearing all of the commissioners' views. And to have the opportunity to speak, something I don't do much, I'm so grateful. Housing ICE detainees is an overt act to profit from an illegal, unconstitutional operation with an entity that is known not to adhere to the law. Furthermore, I believe the contract states the service provider agrees to cooperate with any federal investigation concerning incidents and treatments involving ICE aliens to the full extent of its authorities, including providing access to any relevant databases, CCTV recordings, personnel, and documents. Mr. Tamburello, based on your comments, it seems like you're really concerned about making sure the terms of the contract are favorable to Rockingham County, which I appreciate. We know that ICE has not been operating in compliance with the law. This statement opens up the county to be at the mercy of whatever ICE requests or requires, specifically around data collection. This ambiguous contract language may potentially expose us to providing information about New Hampshire residents that is unlawful, as we have already seen happening in Minneapolis. We also know there will likely be New Hampshire residents that are US citizens and legal immigrants detained at this facility at some point, given what we are already seeing. And we will have very little control over what information is released to ICE, no matter if it's lawful or not. ICE has not complied with over 100 legal court orders in Minnesota alone. Is it really wise for our county to be partnering with an organization that is consistently violating the law and does not comply with court orders? If we enter into this contract, we will have very little control over how ICE partners with us and potentially how Rockingham County will operate this facility. You are considering entering into a legal contract with an organization that does not follow the law.
All right, next row, please. Thank you, everybody, for your patience and being so respectful to everyone else in the room.
Good afternoon. My name is Reverend Tara Olson Allen. I serve as pastor for Pilgrim United Church of Christ, Brentwood, Kingston, which is right over the hill. I'm here. I didn't get the memo that we weren't supposed to talk about moral issues, because that's why I'm here. I lead with my heart. I pastor with my heart. I serve a congregation that has the biggest heart. And many of my congregation members spent time in the Rockingham County facility, and we come and sing Christmas carols, and we come and visit folks in the nursing home and in the assisted living facility and in the rehab facility. And we've spent time trying to work with the corrections facility and visit people there. And our choir has done Christmas services for some of the folks who have spent time in your hotel, as you said. I urge you, friends, to consider your hearts. Consider
your morals, your faith in deliberating this contract. So many things have been said here today, and I thank you for your time and your willingness to listen to all of these people and to all of what is on their heart. Ultimately, you guys are the ones that need to make this decision. And this community of Brentwood, I have been a pastor here for 9 years. There's a lot that has gone on over these past 9 years that we have weathered. And I ask you not to bring this to this community. Good afternoon. My name is Jeannie Menard and I'm from Deerfield. And I would like to acknowledge Commissioner Tombarello in his willingness to meet with the infamous Deerfield Six to have just open, honest conversation and very diligent wrestling with tough questions. So that's an important step that we all appreciate. Brentwood offers a beautiful rural setting for the Rockingham County Rehabilitation and Nursing Center. And from the facility's website, it's described as a cornerstone for senior care, upholding the values that make us a trusted choice for families across southern New Hampshire. I'm not taking a NIMBYism position based on the physical changes to the surrounding jail, such as maybe chain link high security fencing or any impact that there may or may not be on visitors' experience getting to the nursing center or neighbors' legitimate concerns about their property values. Instead, your upcoming decision to partner with ICE will command unwanted attention and challenging disruptions to your job at hand, and that you have as commissioners already. This contract will not enhance one of our county's most valued assets that's sitting right across the street, the nursing home, nor will this improve our county's legacy for the next generation. In closing, that I ask, especially those with law enforcement expertise, to consider the impact of being party to and being held accountable for a contract with Homeland Security, whose operations have created a domain where laws do not apply. Reserve the jail for criminals and their needed rehabilitation. Stick to what you do well. Thank you.
My name is Rebecca Hutchinson from Deerfield. I think we were actually the group of 5, not 6, but okay. I just wanted to take a quick moment to also thank you for the Silverthorne decision. As a retired administrator of non-medical home health, I was very familiar with Silverthorne. We had clients that we shared with them. And I really appreciate that my tax dollars are going to that kind of activity, and particularly that you are addressing the challenging needs of transportation, which we all know is mammoth in our rural community. So thank you for that. And I'll be quick on the other ones. I do have several concerns about the contract. All has been said before, except I think it's worth noting that somebody said, elections have consequences. And I think it's very possible that we could, if we go through with this contract, build up, spend the money, get extra staff. And it's possible that the White House will change in 2028. It's also possible that one of the sides in the Congress would change even sooner than that. And if that does happen, it's entirely possible that the funds will be frozen for this kind of activity. And then where are we? Because we've already, invested in this. And finally, to Commissioner Gadu, Gado, I think that's how I say it. Your thought about if they come here, we can be assured that they get good treatment. And I had to smile when I heard that because I've heard that exact same thought from another member of my Democratic household. And that's kind of what he said, is it better to have them here where we know they might, or we could hope that they get good treatment as opposed to someplace where we don't know. And I will admit, I paused and I thought about that. And I appreciate you bringing that up. But if you listen here today, the person who a long time ago, earlier on said, don't buy that car. And I'm still there. We cannot be a part of this kind of activity, and we cannot trust this government to be legal, let alone moral. So in the bottom line, even thinking about that, thinking we might be able to give these people who are detained, a better home, I don't want us to support a program that has gone far, far beyond capturing the worst of the worst. Thank you.
Hello, my name's David Holt. I'm here on behalf of Occupy New Hampshire Seacoast, which has about 7,000 people, mostly in Rockingham County and Stratford County. And we protest every week what's going on in Market Square in Portsmouth at 3 o'clock. So please come and join us. To start out with, on a larger picture, I think that we really need to step back and realize that these folks are not criminals. There is a lot of whistleblowing, basically, in talking about illegal immigrants. They're not illegal. This is a civil offense, and it has been greatly confused, and the language has been distorted. That we do have an immigration problem in this country, but the problem is that it's been underfunded, and basically there haven't been an access for people to come into the country. It can take up to 20 years for someone to come into the country and become a citizen. There's so much more I can say. One of the things being, we've spoken about future legislation or lawsuits against you down the road. You need to keep that in consideration. Are you set up right now to house a 5-year-old child like is actually being held in another detention center in, I believe, Arizona right now? And so much more. I guess I did not realize that, or let me say I know that we're supposed to have a separation of church and state, but I didn't know we were supposed to have a separation of morals and state. And then just finally, Kate, getting back to what you said, it really kind of niggled on my head when you were saying that you had to follow the orders of what was going of your position in order to make a decision on this. And let me remind you that what's going on right now is very similar to what was going on in Nazi Germany in the early stages. And but going forward to the Nuremberg trials, the Nuremberg defense was a failure. You cannot say that following orders is a valid excuse. So not only is there legal possible repercussions, but personal. So again, please do not pass this or accept this contract. Throw it in the trash. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Timothy Michael Cunningham. I am a narrowback. Let me explain. My parents came to this country from Ireland in 1948 and settled in New York City. When I was a little boy, my mother took me aside and said, TC, you're a narrowback. Mom, what's a narrowback? A narrowback is a child born, their parents were from another country, in this case, Ireland. You are a narrowback. Well, what does that mean? What it means is that my mother explained to me, we came to this country for a better life and for our children. You and your 4 brothers would not have to work as hard as we did. So you could have a narrow back. You would not need to have a broad back. That's what it is. So I want to share with you I have 2 daughters. They are daughters of a narrowback. I have a grandson, Callan. He is the grandson of a narrowback. Everybody in this room is either a narrowback or a descendant of a narrowback. When I was also a little boy, we grew up in Manhattan, and my parents always said, TC, if you're ever in trouble on the street, find the nearest bar and go into the bar. And there were so many Irish bars in our neighborhood. And she said, if you go into the bar, find the bartender. The bartender will take care of you. No one will hurt you if you find the bartender. Luckily, I only had to do that one time. But my thoughts on all of this is that we are all narrowbacks and we all have the possibilities of being bartenders because we're all of our descendants, we came to this country. Everybody in this room is a narrowback and everybody has the opportunity to be a bartender. For the past 35 years, I've spent so much time working with children in Rockingham County. I was a guardian ad litem working out of this county and Stratford County. I've represented probably 3,000 children or more in custody cases. I've had lots of interactions with police, judges, sheriff's departments, and it's always been positive. I was actually a resident of the county jail for 3 days back in 1977 because I was, I guess, what Christina would refer to me as a domestic terrorist. I was arrested because of protests at the Seabrook nuclear power plant. I was treated so well at the county jail. But I remember it. I remember it fondly. So my point is today that we have the opportunity, you have the opportunity, we all have the opportunity to make things better for people coming to this country. No matter how they got to this country, we all came to this country one way or another, or our parents or our grandparents. And so my wish for you is to make the right decision, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk to you today. Thank you.
My name is Denise Raymond. I'm Denise Raymond, born and bred in New Hampshire, very proud. But anyways, everybody has said amazing, awesome things that I share. But I sent this text to my friend this morning because I heard on the news. I'm just going to read it to you. So that little 5-year-old Liam Ramos, who was used as bait to his family by ICE, has been in Texas since he was abducted from his family. He's with his dad. He was a psychologist, went to visit that detention center. She found him. He was found yesterday by the visiting psychologist. He was found curled up in a fetal position and unresponsive, not opening his eyes when spoken to, or eating, or talking, or sharing anything with this psychologist. The visitor asked the nurse on duty, supposedly in charge, and she said that Liam was like some others, that he was fine. And this was a normal response about being depressed and missing his mom. No date for his return. This is itty bitty mirror of what's still to come. Don't believe the lies. This could be my grandson, who's also almost 5, or yours, my family or yours, my neighbor or yours, my America. This is fear over love. Choose love because we all matter.
Thank you. Next row. There, okay.
Good afternoon. I'm Kendra Ford, a resident of Portsmouth. I echo so much of what has been said, that it is our necessary moral response to say no to any participation in what ICE is doing in our country. And I wanted to give you another example of them being a poor tenant. Lehigh County, you may have heard this last week, is evicting ICE because they have not paid their rent in 3 years. They had an MOU, and the person who signed it was then, they decided that they didn't have the authority to sign it. And although ICE has been occupying an office for 3 years, they have not paid a cent to the county. And I've heard multiple examples like that today. I think there are many, many instances of ICE trying to just take from everyone for their own ends. And I would like you to look seriously into their record, how they treat the counties that they operate in. Thank you.
My name is Peg Aronian. I've been a resident in Rockingham County since 1971. I just stopped here on my way back to Exeter after visiting a refugee friend of mine in Manchester. She is Afghan, and I brought her some sewing so she can sew and make a little bit of money to supplement her husband's salary or wages, minimum wages. Her husband, like all of the men in Manchester who are Afghan, served the United States during that awful war. If we have this facility used by ICE, you will not be serving the residents of this county or of this state. because it's abundantly clear to all of us that the tactics are to arrest and then send them out of state as far as they possibly can to deprive these detainees of services and also of their families. So I worry about Baduna and her husband Gul and their 5 children. And I worry about all the other Afghan friends of mine. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Marlene Kaplan, and I'm a resident of Exeter, New Hampshire. I first want to say thank you for allowing this public comment. I can tell that all 3 of you are taking this very seriously, and I really appreciate it. So thank you for hearing what we have to say. A lot of people have said a lot, have already said so much about the morality of this situation. So I'm going to talk about this just in terms of what it's going to mean to Rockingham County, our community. Obviously, a lot of people feel really strongly about how morally reprehensible ICE is and what's happening in our country. And if there's a facility here, I know that we're going to be protesting. And I don't say that in any kind of way to like change your opinion on that specifically, but we're going to be out there in the cold. We're going to be out there protesting because we feel it's our moral duty. And the people that were able to make it today, this is just a small fraction of the members of our county, the residents of our county that feel strongly like we do. And if we have this detention center here in our county, that means that we are going to be inviting ICE to be a permanent presence in New Hampshire here. And we've seen how they treat fellow Americans and immigrants and everyone. I have children and I fear that I could get shot being here, being a peaceful protester, or that anybody here could be, or that I could be shoved to the ground, or that I could be detained just because they don't like me. We've seen videos, we've all seen the videos of how they operate. And I am really afraid for the citizens of Rockingham County, obviously others, but us, because I really think that it will be very unsafe for us. And we are either the most safe state in the country or the second. We're always battling that out. We are a very safe state. And I firmly believe that having a permanent ICE presence here will make us all less safe. So thank you for hearing what I have to say. I appreciate it.
Sandra Koski, Derry, New Hampshire. I was here a couple of weeks ago. Just wanted to reiterate what I said then. Please do not aid and abet ICE, an organization that has such an abusive and violent history that just keeps getting more abusive and violent. I was shaking a lot last time when I said that. I spoke to my sister about it, and she said, "Why do you have such a problem speaking? Because you're a singer, you have no problem singing." I said, "It's very different. Speaking is a lot more nerve-wracking." So I would just like to share this. I'm going to sing this 4 times. If you want to join with me, it's going to take about 30 seconds. Please do. Hey, oh, we won't be silent while our friends are gunned down. Hey, oh, we won't be silent while our friends are gunned down. Hey, oh, we won't be silent while our friends are gunned down. Hey, oh, we won't be silent while our friends are gunned.
That was better than the game.
Good afternoon, Roger Stevenson, Stratum. I first wanted to go back to Commissioner Coyle's earlier remarks, informing me and learning that Exeter Hospital has to be consulted. This is, and I'm sure other institutions around the county. So this is not simply housing. people here who are illegally detained or detained otherwise because of their immigration status. It is using the resources of the county and making assumptions that those institutions have the resources they need to care for these people properly. So it's more than just here. So I thank you for that. I'm going to learn more about it. Years ago, I had the pleasure of coming to the commissioners in a much smaller room. I think Commissioner Tamburello was in that room when you made the right decision to change your facilities heating system from fossil fuels to wood chips. It was the right decision. I had the pleasure of working with Director Gates and highlighting that milestone years ago, and I think the commissioners made the right decision there. I am confident you're going to make the right decision. I would count this as the public hearing. I'll leave you with this, that with respect to the dollars and the contract and what it means financially, with the shekels come the shackles.
Well said, Roger. As always, my name is Cindy McCleary. I live in Stratham. And I had to come and just say I was a public school educator, retired, taught for 17 years with immigrant children. I worked in Lawrence, Mass, and then Lynn, Mass. And those children and their parents were so happy and grateful and honored their ability to be in this country. They time and time again would thank us for what we were doing to educate their children and give them the opportunity that they never thought that they would have. And as far as immigrants being bad people or nefarious characters, the worst of the worst, you know, I taught in 2 schools and they were tough schools. And people would say, wow, you teach in a school like that. And I would say, yes. And 98% of those kids are fabulous, fabulous kids. The 2%, they need a lot of help. They need a lot of work. We don't throw them out because of that. We keep working with them. We help them. And that is what America did for my family when we were immigrants, when my grandfather immigrated here in 1909. And that is what our moral obligation is, to continue to do in the future. And I just ask you, do not become complicit in ICE and this organization. It is a slippery slope. And if you're only doing it for the money, that is not the right reason. Thank you.
Next row. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Nancy Lambert. I actually don't live in Rockingham County and I didn't intend to speak today and I won't share my opinion with you. But I read something in the paper today that I think is relevant to this discussion. There have been 2 county correction officers detained by ICE in Maine, and the York County Sheriff, the York County Administrator, and the Cumberland County Sheriff have all spoken out against these detentions. And what they pointed out is that their county corrections officers are very thoroughly vetted. As you know, I'm sure all your county employees are well vetted, that they were in the county legally, that they have served their counties well, and that ICE is changing the rules of what's legal. So I think I bring this up because I think it's important to realize that some of the people you might be detaining could be your nursing home employees, it could be your correction officers, people that you vetted, that you believe in, and who've served the county well.
Good afternoon. I had no intention of speaking today, and I agree with everything that's been said. My name is Deborah Vasconcelos. As you can tell, that's a very immigrant name. And I have spent over 43 years as an educator in New Hampshire. But I think sometimes we lose the personal part of all of this. And some of those stories have been shared. It's more than just about money and immigrants. When you have a child of color, you raise them in this area or an area like this differently than you do a child that is not of color. How many of you who have children that are not of color raised your child from very young like this? Don't drive and wear a hoodie. Don't play the music loud in the car. And if a cop stops you, put your hands on the dashboard. And don't walk home from a friend's house alone late at night. So this is more than just about immigrants. This is how I had to raise my son. And now it's more scary because let's face it, look at the racial profiling that is going on in this country. So all of us, if the skin's a little darker or maybe our eyes are different, there's going to be more fear in Rockingham County with their presence. I'm living proof of that. And I have to say, one time my son did get stopped for speeding by the police officers, and they escorted him home because he was a wreck thinking I was going to kill him. But anyway, so I have no problem with law enforcement in the county. But please, the fear outweighs the money. I came from a city of violence because I wanted to be in a county like this. Don't bring the fear.
Good afternoon. My name is Lauren Colifrath. I'm from Newmarket, New Hampshire. When I was here last week, there were only about 12 people, and I was nervous to speak then, so I'm more nervous now. But what do they say? If you're scared to do something, just do it scared. So here we go. So as everyone has been speaking to, I would just like to reiterate my comments from last week that we know in New Hampshire that immigrants are less likely to be criminals than regular citizens. 80% of the New Hampshire people that were detained in New Hampshire last year or this year have no criminal record. So we're not holding criminals, we're terrorizing our friends and neighbors. These are not criminals and they shouldn't be treated as such and they should not be housed as such. So to that, I would also like to say that entering into an agreement with ICE creates a huge erosion of trust between the general public and law enforcement officers. Huge. I'm not afraid of immigrants. I am afraid of ICE. And I am afraid of the type of law enforcement officers who see what ICE is doing and think, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's bring that to New Hampshire.
I would also love for us all to stop speaking about ICE as if it is this inevitability, this enshrined American institution, because America has had the Taco Bell cheesy gordita crunch longer than it's had ICE. And I think that has done more for this country than ICE has. So in terms of morality, budgeting, and just community, I think ICE is wrong for New Hampshire. I think that detaining these people is wrong overall. And I don't think we should be inviting this into our communities if you value our communities as they are, and if you value your communities having any sort of trust in their law enforcement officers. So thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Zoe Manos, and I represent Stratum. I'm one of Stratum's 2 state representatives. I'm getting feedback. No. Okay. Thank you. So I'm an attorney, and I want to bring this back to a very practical point of view. I know, Commissioner Coyle, that you're an attorney, and I want to raise the question of whether the county commissioners have independent legal counsel on considering this contract. It seems to me, as I peruse through it, that it's what I would call, from a legal point of view, a contract of adhesion. It's a take it or leave it contract. As I understand it, it's either accept the terms or don't accept the terms. And I feel very strongly that the commissioners need independent legal advice to fully understand the terms of the contract and how it would affect the county. And that's my consideration in urging you to do that. Thank you.
You guys hear me? I don't need a mic. Can everyone hear me? Okay. I didn't want to have to use it. I'm already loud and it's going to be loud in a microphone. So sorry. My name is Seamus Ahern. I'm a narrowback. I had an instance about 7 months ago. And I'm talking directly to you guys because in Candia, New Hampshire, I pulled up to the exit 3 Irving. There was a gentleman sitting on the picnic table off to the side who of Latin American, Central American descent. And an officer walked up to our van and I already knew what was happening. So I told my boss and friend, hey, let's sit here for 20 minutes. The officer walked up to our door and asked us to leave because he knew it was wrong. He knew he didn't want to go ask this guy what country he came from. He knew he didn't want to go say, hey, papers. Because everyone who works in this construction industry around here, and anyone who's ever worked in a kitchen, along with the people who've worked in law enforcement, like the lovely lady said a little bit ago, we all work with immigrants. We're happy to. They get the job done. They're good people. Like, learn a little Spanish. Yo estudio. Easy. Easy, dude. Like, I get it. We're all trying to chuckle this off. We're all trying to laugh this off, but Americans are getting shot. First Amendment, Second Amendment, gone. Nothing. And 8 months ago, I was talking to a cop who knew better. And I got pissed at him. I did. I told him, I hope you can sleep at night, dude. I hope you can sleep at night doing this job. And that, like, do a good job. Be proud to be cops, but just do something worth sleeping at night about. Like, that's it, dude. Like, other than that situation, all the other situations that I've been getting in lately, like, it's getting to the point where I don't even want to pull over for the police anymore in my own state. Because this isn't Merrimack. It's Berlin too. We already have one of these in our state. It's Pease too. We've already been doing it for months. You can bring a better one here, but you already have been doing it here. It was happening. They stopped it. They should stop it. And you should stop it here too. It's obvious. Thank you.
My name is Sophie. I'm from Portsmouth. I don't like public speaking, so my face is gonna get really red. But I just wanted to say I don't know what my life would be like without immigrants or children of immigrants, and I don't know what any of your lives would be like either. And I think we can't discount the positive impact that immigrants and their families have on our communities.
Hello, my name is Jazz. A lot of you guys did a really amazing job today, bringing a lot of facts up, but I just wanted to share from my personal experience. I am born and raised in New Hampshire. I'm Mexican American, and I grew up with family full of immigrants. And so I had a couple of things I would like to say. My first interaction with ICE was probably when I was around 3 years old, and we were at the lake having fun. Supposed to be a family gathering. This was supposed to be our quote American dream. Living in community and relationships is the most important part of life. And that was the first family member I had taken away by ICE. It happened once again. My uncle, who was the closest to being my father figure when I was around 15 years old, the year was 2016. My little brothers, who were my cousins, both were 4 and 6 when our dad was detained. He was held for 9 months at Stratford County back in 2016. He was not a criminal, simply a kind, loving father, human being who was in the process of getting his papers. He was one of many father figures who've been deported and will probably not be the last. He is the 4th. He was there for 9 months, and they knew he wasn't going to stay here. He was going to be deported, but yet they held him for 9 months, and every Sunday we'd go and visit him, and it would be really hard. We'd pick up the phone, look at him through the glass, try to be happy that we were there and even seeing him. These are the memories we're going to continue to create, things that impact me, my everyday life, impact my relationships, impact my family on an everyday basis. That June, it was his birthday, and this is something that has always stuck with me, that has been very gut-wrenching. He showed up with a paper cake, a paper birthday hat, and we sang him happy birthday. I stared in my reflection of that glass, and I just wondered, what has this country come to? We are a country built off of immigrants' backs. We are all immigrants, and we have always been all immigrants, and will continue to be that. Commodifying, detaining more immigrants is not helping anyone, and it's only going to divide us even further. I have another thing to say. Although I was born and raised here along with my 4 siblings, we are all scared of being unlawfully detained. I'm scared of my little siblings who are 12 and 13 and 15 going to school, telling them to carry their birth certificates and social security cards in fear that they might be taken, because if they are, I know I won't be able to stand outside protesting, but I will willingly go in there with them to protect them, because I know what happens in those jails. my little sister who should be focusing on school, and my little brothers as well, focusing on finding themselves, listening to music, creating art, creating relationships. Rather, they may just be the next Latina Anne Franks, writing about their experiences, being fearful that our parents and family members, or even myself, even though I'm a US born citizen, will be detained and deported, further destructing our lives and dividing us once more. So please vote against this. I know it's not right now, but don't let you guys be the reason more of these terrible memories come to this community. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Thank you so much for everyone coming today and having the courage to speak. It's always, it's never an easy thing, and we appreciate. Oh, sure.
I want to make a quick comment. At a couple hundred people here, this was the most peaceful, respectful thing I've ever seen. I didn't expect you guys to throw eggs or anything at us, but you know, there's a couple, that young person that just came up, that kind of got me touched. And another young girl that's been showing up there. What are you showing, by the way? Because I got to see what you're showing. But you made a comment that your 11-year-old said when you're going to a protest, you're going to get shot. What are we doing in this country? What are we doing?
Thank you, everybody. Our job's to answer to you, so we appreciate all your comments and concerns and feedback. And with that, we close the public comment, and I'll take a motion to enter into non-public session.
I make a motion to enter into non-public session pursuant to New Hampshire RSA 91A, Roman numeral 2A, personnel matters.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none on the motion, Commissioner Tombrello?
Yes.
Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Take care.